The ghost in booth 4, the little bell over the diner door jingled, a gentle sound that belied the weight of the moment about to unfold. Morning sun spilled through the dusty glass panes of Paula's grill on Jefferson and Ninth, illuminating a floor of worn checkered tiles and faded red leather booths. It was the kind of place that smelled like burnt coffee, fried eggs, and stories nobody ever bothered to write down. Two police officers stepped in, the soles of their boots thudding with authority against the linoleum. Officer Brendan Keller was tall and cocky, with mirrored sunglasses that made it impossible to tell if he was looking at you or through you. His partner, Officer Greg Lasky, was shorter, broader, with a smug expression that rarely left his face. Their presence commanded attention, but only one man in the diner seemed to draw theirs. In the far corner sat a black man in his late 40s. His shoulders were broad under a faded army green jacket that had seen better days. A patchy beard covered his weathered jaw, and beneath the cuff of his sleeve, the edge of a tattoo peeked out, an American flag, inked over a bicep hardened by years of discipline and conflict. He cradled a chipped ceramic mug, steam no longer rising from the coffee inside. He hadn't touched the toast in front of him. It was as if he knew, as if he had been waiting. Officer Keller leaned toward Lasky and jerked his chin toward the man. "Looks like we've got ourselves a squatter," he muttered under his breath, tapping his holster for show. A few customers looked away. The waitress, a middle-aged woman named Clarice, stiffened but didn't move. The man didn't flinch. He kept his gaze on the tabletop, but his hand slid slowly into his pocket and emerged with a phone. He unlocked it with a single motion and brought it to his ear. "You're making a mistake," he said into the phone, his voice even, unhurried. Keller barked a laugh. "Well, ain't that something? You calling your parole officer or your little shelter buddy?" The man didn't respond to him. His eyes never left the screen of the phone. To understand what happened next, you'd have to understand the man they were trying to humiliate. His name was Quentin Briggs. And once, long ago, he was the government's most inconvenient asset. Born in Cleveland, raised by a mother who taught Sunday school and a father who never made it home from Desert Storm, Quentin had enlisted straight out of high school. At 19, he was deployed to Kandahar. By 27, he was running Black Ops missions that didn't officially exist. The kind of missions where no medals were handed out and no one wore name tags. By 39, the government had no more use for him. They discharged him with a few handshakes, a therapy brochure, and a quiet, "Thank you for your service." No pension, no VA benefits, just trauma, secrets, and a ghost's existence on the edges of a country he'd bled for. He drifted down to Richmond, Virginia, the city where red tape grew thicker than weeds and veterans got lost in the system. The city where Quentin lived mostly in alleys and parks, slipping unnoticed through society's cracks. But there was something most people didn't know. Quentin never truly disappeared. He just waited. "Sir, we got complaints," Keller said now, stepping closer. "Some of the customers say you're making them uncomfortable." Quentin looked up slowly. His eyes were steel gray, calm as still water. "I've said nothing to anyone. You're trespassing. I'm a paying customer. You got ID?" Quentin gave a soft sigh. "Just finishing my coffee." Lasky stepped forward. "Don't play smart with us. We know who you people are. You come in here, stink up the place, harass patrons, and play the vet card when it suits you." When Keller's hand clamped down on Quentin's shoulder, it wasn't a grip, it was a declaration. "Time to go," he said. Quentin didn't move. Instead, he slid the phone across the table toward them. The screen still lit up with a connected call. "I warned you," he said quietly. "That was your last chance." Lasky scoffed. "Or what? You'll have your hobo friends flash mob us." But before Quentin could answer, every police radio in the diner crackled with static. Then a dispatcher's frantic voice came through. "All units, immediate stand down on subject Quentin Briggs. Repeat, stand down on Briggs. He's flagged high clearance. Do not engage." The two officers froze. Quentin leaned back in the booth, one eyebrow raised, his lips curling in the faintest smirk. "Still think I'm bluffing?" he asked. The television mounted behind the counter, which had been airing reruns of a cooking show, abruptly cut to a breaking news banner. Pentagon launches investigation into police misconduct. Sources cite unauthorized surveillance of classified operatives. Clarice dropped the pot of coffee she was holding. A busboy ducked behind the counter. The other patrons turned slowly, horror blooming on their faces. Keller stammered. This is insane. Who the hell are you? I used to be nobody, Quentin said. Then men like you reminded me why ghosts should never be forgotten. The front doors burst open. This time, the uniforms weren't blue, they were black. Tactical. Federal Point 4 men in suits, badges gleaming, marched into the diner. Officers Brendan Keller and Gregory Lasky, the lead agent, barked. You are hereby relieved of duty, effective immediately, pending federal investigation. What? Wait, you can't do that. Keller protested. We're in the middle of a situation. You created a situation, the agent replied. And it ends now. In seconds, the cops were disarmed, cuffed, and let out the door. Quentin stood up. Mr. Briggs, the agent said respectfully, your extraction vehicle is ready. Do you require escort? Quentin looked down at his cold toast. No, I walk. He stepped out of the diner and into the sunlight. The weight of 1,000 buried missions somehow lighter than the burden of being forgotten. As the wind lifted the collar of his jacket, he touched the tattoo on his arm. A voice crackled in his earpiece. You coming home, soldier? It was General Ethan Holloway, once Quentin's commanding officer, now a quiet ally in Washington who had never stopped watching over his best operative. Quentin looked out at the city skyline. Not yet, sir. There's still work to do. And then he vanished down the street. The fallout from that day was swift. Within 24 hours, the Richmond Police Department had suspended 3 supervisors, reassigned 2 captains, and opened formal inquiries into patterns of harassment targeting vulnerable populations. The diner owner gave a tearful apology on local news. Clarice, the waitress, quit. Then she came back the next day with a new Veterans Eat Free sign in the window. Keller and Lasky were stripped of their badges. Public opinion shredded them. Their personnel files were leaked, revealing a long pattern of complaints that had been swept under the rug. But none of that mattered to Quentin Briggs. He didn't need their disgrace. He just needed their silence. Because while the nation obsessed over another scandal, Quentin moved through cities, watching, waiting. There were others like him, soldiers who had become shadows. Patriots treated like problems. He carried no gun, just the truth, and a phone line that never rang twice before someone answered. Because somewhere, in a vault buried beneath layers of clearance, Quentin's name was still there, classified. Untouchable. A ghost, the kind you don't provoke, not unless you're ready to lose everything.